Welcome. I'm Brian McMillan, Executive Editor of the Palm Coast Observer, and I have a special guest with me today, Ed Danko, City Council. Welcome, Ed.
Thank you, Brian. Nice to see you again.
Thank you so much. So last time we talked, it was in April, so 9 months ago.
Was it that long ago?
It was that long ago.
Wow.
I checked just to make sure it wasn't too quick, you know. But you said that you wanted...
Did you miss me?
Yes, of course.
Good.
You said you wanted to get on top of the saltwater canal dredging, or you wanted the city to. Mm-hmm. So why is that so important, and are you happy with the progress so far?
Well, I'm happy that we're making some progress. I'm happy that we're finally looking at hiring consulting firms to come in and tell us exactly what we need. Because we can sit around and guess all day long. Are we going to spend 40 million, 50 million, 25 million? Mm-hmm. We don't know. We don't know what it's actually going to cost. But these canals definitely need to be dredged. The last time they were dredged was back in the 90s, before Palm Coast became a city. We're responsible, the city's responsible for these canals. They're part of our stormwater system. They're our biggest amenity, our biggest attraction. And it's not just the people that live on the canals, but anyone can access those canals with their boats. So this is something that we finally have to get on top of. And the only way we're going to do it is to hire a firm. Do we put in our own permanent dredging equipment like they did in Coral Gables? But I think, you know, they have hundreds of miles of canals, saltwater canals. We've got 26 miles or so. Do we make that investment, or do we just hire out periodically when we need to do it? I don't know. And until we get a consultant firm in here that does this for a living, till they can tell us what type of state money is available, federal money is available, you know, that's the next step. So when I brought this up 9 months ago, council wasn't interested. Our former mayor wanted nothing to do with it. But we have a new mayor, and you know, they've heard the residents of the C and F sections voice their concerns. So we're finally taking some action.
I feel like there's appetite to make something happen, whichever.
I do. I was very disappointed in the survey question that was sent out by the city. It was tainted. It was a leading question, and as I told council at the last meeting, I said, as far as I'm concerned, you've poisoned that question. So anything that comes back on that question, I'm not going to take seriously. You can't just scare people about environmental hazards. You know, when you put a question in there like, should we dredge our canals or not? Because, you know, I'd like to know who actually wrote that question. I'd like to know if they were an expert in dredging, because they sure sounded like one. It just made no sense. But regardless of that, too, it's folks have to understand, you know, this is not some form of class warfare. You know, some people say, oh, dredging the canals, that's for those rich people that live on the canals. Well, I don't live on the canal. You know, I live over in the W section. But, you know, if you live in another section of town and you need something done, well, you know, this is a city. It's our responsibility to take care of all of our residents. So I want folks to understand this is not just for people that live on a canal. This is also a major attraction, possibly, to future industry. If I'm bringing in a high-tech company to Flagler County or Palm Coast, and I'm going to create 200 jobs, and I'm the president of that company, I'm probably going to make enough money where I'm going to want to live on a canal and have a boat. So if that's an attraction that we can offer businesses and their leadership, I'm all for it if it creates jobs.
More likely to attract business owners.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But that's what makes the world go round. This is America. I love business owners. I love business.
Another question, growth continues to be a really hot topic for people. So what grade would you give the city on handling growth?
Look, I'm not going to give it a grade. We don't have a choice but to handle growth. Yeah. That's what happens. If you want things stay the
But
same.
what options does the city
Well,
have to
we can't be
to address it?
Brigadoon. You know, you've seen the play, the movie Brigadoon, you know, where every 100 years they wake up and nothing has changed. Okay, we're not Brigadoon. And I don't think you're going to find that. We're going to see growth, and certainly now with all the people that are fleeing the Northeast, New York, New Jersey, fleeing California from the high taxes and the high crime and the mismanagement, Florida's a great place to come. We have a great state, you know, and so people are coming here. And our property prices, even though they've gone up, are low compared to these other areas. Our taxes are low, even though I don't like any tax increase. Even with the tax increase that I didn't vote for, we still have low taxes. So we're going to see growth. And we have a lot of land that's not been developed. So developers have rights. You own property in Florida, you have rights. And you have the right to build. And so we're going to see some growth. And I know people complain a little bit about it. I hear people complain about traffic. I mean, yeah, I've seen an increase in traffic, but I've lived in major cities in my life. You know, go live in Washington, D.C. or Chicago or Dallas or Atlanta. You want to talk about traffic. This traffic's not that bad. But people don't seem to understand that we just can't say no. If you own a big parcel of land and it's zoned for something and you want to build on it, Brian, you have every right, you know, unless we can show that you're really doing damage to the city, you know, and you're not part of our master plan. But, you know, putting up office buildings, hospitals, even apartment complexes is part of our master plan.
What do you look for in the next city manager?
Well, looking for someone who can do the job, someone who has experience in a city this size or larger. The last city manager we had left under a cloud of suspicion. Yeah. He was in over his head. Came from a small little 7,000 people community, just way in over his head, and obviously he didn't last long.
So there was some discussion of like a non-traditional candidate. Maybe you want to, are you open to, or you? I'm
open to anyone that, you know, if there's a, the problem with government is if your only experience is government, I actually don't really want you. I want you to have a little more experience than just government. I'd like to have experience in the free market. I would love to have a retired CEO of a big corporation move here and want to be our city manager, somebody that can lead.
But would you prefer that person also has been a city manager of a similar size?
Not necessarily. You know, some of our candidates, I found out of the 90-something candidates that originally submitted their resumes, I found 5 people that I thought were good choices. Okay? One of them ranged from the former mayor of Erie, Pennsylvania, an actual real mayor, no city manager form of government, guy who actually ran the city 2 terms he was elected. Okay, very conservative guy, did a great job, and he was willing to come here. And so he was one of the people I had selected. There was another retired Army colonel who was in command of an Army garrison. Okay, if you can command an Army garrison, I think you can handle Palm Coast. But he didn't have city manager, you know, but he had big responsibilities. We have a local candidate, Jim Manfred, who has applied. You know, the one thing I liked about Jim was he was a 2-time sheriff here, and you know, he's also a lawyer, so he's got some business experience, and he knows our city. He wouldn't have to come in and spend the year learning all the players and how the city works. So that was just 3 of the people I picked. I'm very disappointed that we're going out, that we gave up, we abandoned that in the middle of the process. I don't understand why. And now we're going to be spending upwards of $30,000 to hire a firm, just like we did before. And that last time we did that, we got Matt Morton. So I'm totally opposed to this, and I'm on the record as being opposed to this. I think we need to go back and look through the candidates that applied. And I think we owe them that. They made the effort to apply. We put the notice out there. We said, you know, fill out the application and we'll take a look. And then we just pulled the rug out from under them. I don't like that.
So 2022 election is right around the corner.
I'm not running for anything in 2022.
Right. the city council has 2 seats that
Yep.
could change, right?
Mhm.
Eddie Branquino said he's likely not going to run.
I believe Eddie is likely not going to run.
Yeah.
I believe
and
him.
Victor Barbosa already said he's going to run for county. So,
Against Joe Mullins.
Yep.
Yeah. Good luck with that, Victor.
so with 2 seats open, what do you think is at stake in the city election in 2022?
Well, stake is control of the council. But you know, there's 5 people.
There are.
If you got 3 votes, you run the city.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll see. We'll see who steps forward. I know Alan Lowe has stepped forward to replace Victor. I'm going to support Alan Lowe, obviously. He's on the board of directors of our Trump Club. We'll be endorsing Alan. I don't know about Eddie's seat, District 4.
Yeah.
I've only seen, I think there's 2 candidates in that race.
Qualifying ends in mid-June,
Yeah,
so there's
so
still time.
we'll see who comes forward on that. We also have school board seats coming up. That's so important. School board is, you know, these are your kids. So you really need to know who these candidates are before you vote for them. And then, of course, we have county commissioner seats coming up. We got Greg Hansen is running for re-election, and Mullins is running for re-election. And as I said, Victor is actually going to run against Joe Mullins. By the way, I don't know if you're aware of this, but a few weeks ago, Joe Mullins offered Victor a round-trip, first-class air ticket to Costa Rica with luxury accommodations for a weekend if he would just fly down there and prove to us all that he's not committed any crimes, that he's not wanted for any crimes in Costa Rica. I think if I was him and I was innocent, I would grab that vacation on Joe in a heartbeat.
Of course.
A couple weeks after that, on my own Trump Club podcast, I threw in a little extra incentive. I said I would provide the luxury stretch limo that would transport Victor and guests to and from the airport to their hotel, assuming that local law enforcement didn't step forward and give him a ride first.
The deal
So
just keeps getting sweeter.
it's
and
sweet,
sweeter.
so I don't know what his problem is. I don't know why he's afraid.
I don't know why he wouldn't trust you guys.
You know, it's buy a ticket. Here you go. I mean, Joe's good for it. I'm good for it. So I would really, if I was him, I'd want to prove my innocence. But that's Victor.
So last question.
Sure.
You called Scotty Moore for Congress. You said on your Facebook page that he was a solid Trumper.
Yeah, he is.
So is it important to you, do you feel like, that a local candidate, you know, at a city level, a school board level is also a solid Trumper? And why does that matter on a local level?
It matters on a local level, and as we've just seen at the school board, with the book that Jill Woolbright was able to get tossed out. Yeah, it is. It's a conservative Republican Trump thing, because you're not going to get that from a liberal, left-wing, socialist, blame America first Democrat. You're just not going to get that. So yes, it's very important. As vice president of the Trump Club, any endorsement that we give, obviously it has to be someone who believes in the policies of Donald Trump. This man took our country. He took our country from a horrible Obama economy and took us to where we had virtually no unemployment. And yet then the China virus came in, and that changed things, unfortunately, and businesses shut down and airline travels.
The CCP virus or something.
Yeah, I think it's called, well, I call it the China virus or the Kung Fu flu now, because we're at the point where it's not even that serious if you get it. It's more like a flu. But I went through COVID. I survived. And,
So did I.
Yeah, and so I'm glad I'm immune now for a while, because I'm, glad about that. I mean, it wasn't fun, as you know. You couldn't even hardly get out of bed or anything, eat, whatever. But look at what Joe Biden's done to this economy. Look what he's done to this country. Look at what he did in Afghanistan. Look at what he did shutting down the pipeline. Look at the fact that the Russians are amassing a whole bunch of troops on the Ukrainian border. I mean, this guy had a press conference yesterday. He went blank. I mean, he just stopped. He just brain freeze.
So,
this is a scary, scary situation we're in. It's not even funny anymore. Our
So
enemies
why do
have
we
got to
go-
look at this guy.
But why do we go? Why do we go there when we're talking about city council?
Because you don't want the same people that are running the country now. You don't want people that believe in those policies running our city. They will spend us into the Stone Age. I mean, they'll destroy everything. I mean, I guess, what is it? Sim Jones is running against Allen.
I believe so.
Yeah, I think Sim Jones wants to start his own police department. And then what? What's he going to do after he starts it? Do what a Democrat normally does and then defund it? This is why you want candidates that believe in these conservative values.
Very good. Well, I think we hit all of the big talking points.
I think we did.
So thank you for being my guest again.
You're
Ed.
welcome.
And
I'll see you in another 9 months.
All right, sounds good. Thank you for joining us.